Yo, what is up, guys? This is Troy D from the Troy D 24/7 Mall channel, your source for on point and no hype reviews. We are back getting everybody. We are back with another fragrance review right here, guys. And today I will be talking about a Mind Games fragrance that I should have done really months ago. I never got the chance, guys. But like I said, I'm kind of cleaning up on my backlog. So today I will be talking about this much hyped fragrance that, in my opinion, has been getting a 50-50 split of feedback, good and bad. Some people are saying that this fragrance truly lives up to the hype, that this is an amazing fragrance, and some people are hating on it, especially on the price component of this fragrance and the possible simplicity of this fragrance right here. So today I'll give you guys my no hype and no hate breakdown on this Mind Games fragrance. Let's go. Now, before I continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys. Okay, liking, subscribing, and watching the ads is a great big deal to this channel, guys. We just hit 23,000 subscribers, guys. So please continue all your support, guys, as we head towards 24K. We've got over 700 no hype videos for you guys to enjoy and deep dive on. So again, thank you very much for all your support. And the fragrance that I will be talking about today is none other than Mind Games French Defense. Yes, Mind Games French Defense. All right, this fragrance right here, I think even right now there's still some hype regarding this fragrance. And again, I think it's really like a 50-50 on the feedback. But months ago when this really released, I think this year, this was all the craze. All right, a lot of people were hyped up about this fragrance and were swearing about how awesome this fragrance was. And so we're kind of months away from that. So, you know, right now that it's kind of settled down, I say we have a good bulk of people that are saying it's awesome and people that are saying it's not. It's a really good time to talk about this Mainstay type of fragrance right here. And speaking of mainstays, guys, I got this decant from Joey of Scent Rush. Thank you so much, Joey, for this decant. I handpicked this out of his beautiful collection of fragrances that he's decanting. Like I said on my last video, Joey from Scent Rush, they do have a lot of the mainstream lovable mainstays. And if you're like me, that I kind of, you know, glossed over this one, French Defense, because I was busy doing other perfumes on the reviews, you can always check his catalog and purchase decants at a really good price of a lot of these mainstays. Now, before we get into the fragrance, let's talk about Mind Games real quickly, guys. Mind Games is a fragrance company that, to be honest, came out of nowhere, but the concept and the beautiful bottles really swept us away, really grabbed our attention. And, you know, I think at this point, after seeing a lot of clone companies, you can see that even the simple bottles that the real ones use, you know, they can be copied by the clones as well. But this one right here, Mind Games, they do have these heavy chest inspired bottles that again really grabbed our attention. And the reason why Mind Games is still, you know, going on right now, still being talked about, because their releases are really appealing and likable, and there's really nothing much to say on the bad side unless you focus on the pricing on these fragrances. But I've done Grandmaster, I mean Blockade, I've worn my sample to death. I can't say nothing bad about the actual fragrances if we're talking about appeal, likability. I think all those boxes are being checked out. Performance. So that's why Mind Games is still being talked about today. Now, this one right here, same thing. Like I said, there's a lot of people that love this fragrance. I really say this is an amazing fragrance. One of the best cherry fragrances that they've, you know, had ever. And because it is fall winter, this is the right time to be talking about cherry. And again, there's also some hate. There's some hate saying that this fragrance is too simple and too pricey for something this simple. All right, so those things I will address in this review. Can't wait to tell you all about it. Let's go spray this thing right now. Okay, guys, now let's talk about this fragrance right here, Mind Games French Defense. Now, real quickly, quick concept of this fragrance. French Defense is an opening counterattack, all right? I'm not a chess guy, all right? And when I looked up the definition, I didn't know what, 1A or 3B was on the chest definition of where that's located in the chessboard. But basically, it is an opening counterattack. When the white side opens up, it's like the next move as a counterattack. And it's a move of confidence. And, figuratively, that is what Mind Game says about this fragrance, that this is a fragrance of confidence that will bring you confidence as the wearer. Now, interestingly, it is an opening move, and the opening of this fragrance is definitely notable, probably the most likable part of this fragrance, Mind Game's French defense. And this opening has cherry, it has violet leaves, and chamomile, guys. All right, but one thing I will say is that the cherry right here, let's zero in on that. The cherry is electric. I know that there's a Tom Ford called Electric Cherry. Well, this was electric as well. This raised my eyebrows, and this was to me like an exclamation point in the fragrance, because the opening was just wonderful. And like I told you guys, if you heard my previous reviews, I'm an opening guy. All right, I don't like the beauty of a fragrance to catch up in the mid or the end. I want it to be opening with such an impact, such a great first impression. And I can say confidently that French Defense does that. Now, again, let's zero in on that cherry. The cherry is rich. It is potent. There's a sharpness and a tartness to it. But also at the same time, I can validate that there's something syrupy here as well, kind of like a cherry syrup, but is also, like I said, electric. It's actually potent, and I feel like it is strong. But it is backed up by things that are very subtle, notes that are very subtle, back this one up, again creating a wonderful opening, one of which is violet leaves. Now, violet leaves, this is not violet, all right? So the candy-like sweet floral violet is not here, but you do have violet leaves with still subtle floral violet smells, but it's mostly on the green side. It has a cucumber-like scent, kind of adds some freshness, again adding that exclamation point into this electric cherry, guys. All right, so the combo, in my opinion, of the violet leaf plus the cherry creates this wonderful opening. And did I say, I forgot to say that this is super potent? All right, it's rich and potent, guys, strong enough. And I know that there's a L'Homme Ideal by Guerlain. I have that, actually. I have that fragrance full bottle, and I can say that the difference is the richness, it's the tartness, it's the exclamation point. If L'Homme Ideal had a more like graceful like cherry intro, this one right here, like I said, is mood awakening. All right, and that is what I will say about this opening. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the selling point of this fragrance for a lot of people, because it is really mood enhancing. It's electric. It's gonna wake you up and perk you up and get you ready for the day or the night, because this is a cherry fragrance, guys. All right, wonderful intro with these two notes. Now, 15 minutes in, you've got chamomile. And, if you've heard chamomile, it's like a tea-like gradient scent. And the chamomile, I would say, is the balancer that calms this down. This electric intro with the cherry and violet leaf. Well, the chamomile is kind of like the balancer that keeps it relaxed, sensual, steady. And it is a relaxing chamomile smell. And again, people might like this as well. I liked it. I like the balance of having chamomile here while enjoying that potent cherry violet leaf combination. And again, opening is fantastic in this one. I can't say nothing. Again, I really believe that this is the selling point of the entire fragrance. And, people have been saying that, oh, this is only for the Neiman Marcus crowd, right? Well, it kind of makes sense too, because, when you do shop retail, when you smell the fragrance, it's not like you're going to stay there for 7 hours at the Neiman Marcus stand, right? Like at the fragrances area. I mean, most people, once they smell, again, that intro, they decide, right? And so I can really see how that's true in every sense of the word, that somebody buying retail will actually just enjoy this and buy it straight out of the first sniff or first 30 minutes of the fragrance, because like I said, the intro is really truly that good. Okay, so now let's talk about initial sillage and projection of this opening right here. This opening definitely was an aura scent, and actually the first, I would say, 30 minutes of spraying this fragrance, you can really feel the potent quality of this, the electric quality of this cherry intro of Mind Games French Defense. So definitely it has an aura scent, but the beautiful thing, like I said, is the chamomile, plus the next notes from the mid that have draw-in sensual properties. All right, so again, you've got that exclamation point in the beginning, really creating a nice sillage and projection. Some people are reporting room filling. For me, it's an aura scent, which means it goes beyond just a lingering scent. I would say it's very, very decent on the sillage and projection. And also another thing I will say about this opening is that it's very unisex. And when I say unisex, I'm saying this can also lean masculine. All right. And the reason why I say this is because the intro has a healthy balance of greenness and tea. And that isn't necessarily a femme thing. All right. So the cherry alone could have been, a femme type, note. But because there's a healthy balance of green and tea in this intro, I don't think guys would have a problem wearing this intro right here. And again, for the mood enhancing properties and eventually the mood calming properties of this opening, I think it's freaking great. Okay, so now let's head into the mid of Mind Games French Defense. Now, the interesting thing about this mid is that the cherry actually overlaps into it. And I'm talking about 1 hour to 1 hour 30. The cherry is still going to be there. It does not go away that quickly. That's why this is called a cherry scent. The cherry is, again, pretty potent to where it overlaps into the mid. Now, the mid does have notes like geranium, rose, as well as mimosa. And the thing about this is that cherry is still going to be there. So it's actually more of a cherry geranium, cherry rose combination, with the cherry not as potent as the intro, but definitely still there. All right, so you will still get cherry kind of like overlapping into the mid. But again, you've got some nice rosy and spicy geranium in the mix. You have a dark rose, but it's not a rose scent. All right, I mean, really, for me, as I smell this fragrance, it's a blend between all those plus the cherry. All right, you'll still get the tart, sharp cherry throughout the mid, and the rose doesn't pop out like it became a rose. It's already kind of like a sensual, calming mid right here, but the rose is just a blend in with the cherry. All right, and so is the geranium. Now, the mimosa is basically a continuance of the greenness, the green combination, from the violet leaves, the chamomile tea. Mimosas right here add another like woody, green, earthy like facet to this, and that balances all of this out. For those that thought that this was going to be a spotlight rose, that would have been boring. But no, it's actually a beautiful combination of some rosy facets, cherry, and some green facets from the mimosa. And finally, let's talk about the third stage of this fragrance, guys, the Drydown. And the Drydown is amber predominant. Right here on the Drydown, you do have amber, you have cashmeran, you have cedarwood, guys, but really it's all about the amber. All right, it's a really simple, simplistic amber woods ending to French Defense. And it does start early, actually. I was able to smell the amber as early as 4 hours in, not 6 hours or 7 hours later. 4 hours in is when I was actually able to smell the amber. You have cashmeran, which is basically these comforting musks. Some people are saying that it's soapy, and I agree with that. It's slightly soapy musks that go with this amber. But again, I mean, it is a very simplistic amber woods ending, all right? And a lot of people that don't like this fragrance, this is one of those points of contention that they're saying, hey, you know what, the Drydown is pretty simple. And I don't know if they just ran out of budget to enhance or to make an even more pronounced, enhanced ending. And I agree. I mean, if they made an even more pronounced Drydown with something crazy, some crazier notes towards the Drydown, I think that this really would be a hands down masterpiece, because the opening in the mid pretty amazing on this fragrance, but the dry down, pretty damn simple. Can't say nothing much. It's pretty simplistic. Also, regarding the dry down, I want to say that this fragrance settled in at the 7 to 8 hour mark, which is really not bad. Okay, so strong projection in the beginning, then becomes a lingering scent up to 7 to 8 hours. And then after that, on the latter dry down stage, it's kind of like a tight skin scent, here and there smell that you can get past the 8 hour mark. So pretty good coverage still, guys, on this fragrance. Now, what do I think of this fragrance? Okay, first and foremost, guys, this fragrance will be purchased because of the opening. All right. And some people might say, okay, it smells like other things and it's easily redundant with other cherry fragrances, but there's beauty in simplicity, guys. All right. And other fragrances, the thing about those is that there's a lot of additives that turn it a different way. Yes, you might be able to experience cherry, but other fragrances turn it a different way. They go a different route, and that is where the choices kind of change. I would say that this is for a purist, all right? So if you purely want a fragrance that is likable, a cherry that is an exclamation point, a mood enhancer, it's very likable, doesn't go into necessarily any specific direction, then French Defense is for you. Because like I said, for me, the opening was really lovely and super impactful. And, you know, I really didn't see any other like artistic changes from there other than the simple fact that that cherry was great. And there will be a lot of people that will like this fragrance because of that. And, you know, even in the mid, you still get bits and pieces of that cherry, and it's not necessarily like a rose heavy mid, even though you can smell pieces of the rosy geranium and of course a little bit of that, you know, subliminal dark rose in there, but still cherry will still reign supreme. And I do like the fact that they had some green balancers, some chamomile to balance it out, so that it's not really as, you know, cherry or cherry sweet or cherry femme as what most other cherry fragrances are. Okay, so again, this is for the simple people that simply like a nice smelling cherry scent. And usage wise, this fragrance is perfect for today's weather. Well, hoodie weather, cool to cold weather right now, and AC environments. Just in case you live somewhere humid, you can still definitely wear this. And actually, I feel like this can be worn in any weather because you have the green balancers anyways. And the thing about this fragrance, one thing to know is that it is not thick. It's not a thick fragrance that like once you smell the dense nature of it, you're like, oh, this is a winter type of perfume. The cherry, although potent, is more electric and mood enhancing versus a heavy, dense cherry, a darker cherry that's dense. And even the rose, the amber, that, like I said, I felt like they ran out of budget towards the end. The amber was not heavy whatsoever. It actually felt like a thin layer of amber. Even if that was the most prominent one, it didn't feel like a potent, heavy amber towards the end. So I would say cool weather is the best place to wear this. And also this is a grabber and upscale grabber. And of course, every time I've worn this fragrance, I've gotten compliments on this. It has a draw in nature. Definitely is something that you can use on a date. Something to allure somebody else, I would say. Okay, whether you are a guy or a girl. And yeah, speaking of that, very, very unisex. I think women can wear this. Don't get me wrong. It still has cherry on top, but the guys can wear this as well. Wouldn't be surprised if you're a guy watching this, owning a bottle, and you're like, yeah, I'll wear this too, because of the said balancers. Okay, now total performance on Mind Games French Defense. On my testing, it's 10 to 11 hours. All right, and it's not like a 12-hour plus scent. Obviously, because a lot of, you know, the power and the strength and the potency of this fragrance was opening leading. And like I said, you know, the dry down of this fragrance was pretty simple. Even the amber wasn't so heavy, so that makes sense. There's not enough stuff there to really make this fragrance go past the 12-hour mark. Very simplistic ending to this fragrance, and everything was in the first part. Again, first 8 hours of really, really good performance, and then it kind of turns into a skin scent slash lingering here and there from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11, guys. So that is the total performance on this fragrance. And finally, let's talk about the full bottle worthiness of this fragrance as well as the costing. This is the big one right here. And this is where a lot of people hate on this fragrance. Because, I mean, to me, the actual scent is great, all right? The usage is great. Can't say nothing about that. There was nothing in the note breakdown, well, except for that pretty simplistic ending that really stood out to me and that would make me say, oh, this is a horrible fragrance, or it really wasn't that good. By the way, the new tower was horrible. Oh, my God. Anyways, this one right here, French Defense, is $375 for 100 ml right here. And the thing I'm going to say is that, you know, for those people that are hating on the Neiman Marcus crowd, well, it's true, though, that the Neiman Marcus crowd or whoever can confidently shop at a Neiman Marcus does have the funds to buy these things. And again, these people will not be spending a long time at the perfume area. And, you know, they'll probably try 5 to 6 cents. And the one that really electrifies them and hits them in the beginning is the one that they will buy. So I am not surprised that, again, French Defense is, you know, for the counter. It's for the people that buy fragrances on the counter that can actually confidently afford $375. This will not be okay, though, for those that are not okay with $375 to begin with. I mean, if your budget is between $100 to $200, this might be too simplistic for the price. And I totally agree with you that, you know, that might not be okay for y'all. But again, for the $375 crowd, Neiman Marcus crowd, I wouldn't be surprised that this is like a normal thing. If Mind Games actually, if this is their airspace, this is where they thrive, in the, you know, the crowd that buys on the counter in these very expensive stores like Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus. Wouldn't be surprised, guys. And I feel like a lot of the people that resent this fragrance, these are the ones buying online blindly, who are, you know, really can't afford it to begin with, and they're kind of hating on this because, again, it's kind of simple down the line. But nevertheless, usage-wise, I think it's really awesome, though. Just like the other Mind Games fragrances, they're pretty good on, you know, that. And, you know, one thing I will say, guys, is that, you know, don't buy because of the pressure of fitting in. That is one thing I will say. And that's the reason why I test these fragrances. And I don't have any, like, you know, pressure towards fitting in the fragrance community. There have been people that didn't like, you know, my approach towards, you know, the no hype reviews and such, and they don't like how I review fragrances and my stance, but that's okay. I'm not trying to fit in any clique, in any group in Fragcom, and you guys shouldn't either. And actually fitting in a group, sometimes, you know, the cost of entry is pretty steep. And they might think that, oh, if you buy a hyped fragrance, you're kind of in, you have a say in what's going on because you got the latest thing. But, you know, don't have that pressure, guys. That's one thing I will say. Don't have that pressure of trying to get into this community who they don't really know you. And then, you know, pelunking $375, $400 for something that eventually you will regret. So with that being said, guys, get a sample from Scent Rush Fragrances, from Joey. I would say a 10 ml is enough. Honestly, I would not really spend a $375 bottle, even though I like this fragrance because there's other offerings in fall winter, and you guys know there's a lot coming up. I posted a list on my community tab, and with that being said, even if you're trying to get into the hype, you know, thank God you have people like Joey selling this at a much lower cost, 10 mls, 5 mls. I think 10 ml is more than enough to enjoy this fragrance without hating on it because your wallet got hit. And that is it. That is my no hype review on this fragrance right here, Mind Games French Defense. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a full breakdown. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance right here. Last night, I put in on the community tab a question about what y'all felt or what did you guys feel about this fragrance. And I got a lot of responses, which means that a lot of y'all bought this fragrance either blindly or you bought it because you loved it. But I really loved the responses. Thank you so much for giving me that. Again, it was a 50-50. Some people loved it. Some people did not like the simplicity of the Drydown or the pricing. But there's still some people saying it was freaking damn amazing, worth every penny. All right. Now, again, thank you to Joey from Scent Rush for sending this over. Hit him up. I'll link him below if you would like a sample or 10 ml, 5 ml decant of French Defense. And again, I'll see you guys on the next video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. God bless. Take care. Peace.